Hello, good morning, Halftime TV viewers and subscribers. Welcome to another episode, and we have some big news because heavy favorite going into the 100 meters of the Olympics for women, Sherica Jackson has officially been withdrawn by the technical committee. Now we've seen a number of interviews. We've seen Stephen Francis. We've heard from Ludlow Watts. We've also seen an interview with Sherica Jackson where she indicated that she'll only be competing in the 200 meters. There are a lot of question marks as well, especially on the back of the interview from Stephen Francis. But before I even go any further, let me say a big shout out to the sponsors, Quicklink Shipping and Zivara Enterprise. You can check them out on all social media platforms. And remember, if you haven't done so as yet, go ahead and subscribe to Halftime TV right now so we can get to 20,000 subscribers as soon as possible. All right, now going into the 100 meters at the Olympics, I think Sherica Jackson was one of Jamaica's best chances of actually getting on the podium or actually upsetting Sha'Carri Richardson. We know that Sha'Carri is a favorite. We know that she has that top end speed that is next to none. We also know that Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is not at her best as of now, and as such, Sherica Jackson was the realistic hope of upsetting Sha'Carri Richardson. Mind you, Sha'Carri is still the favorite. Now, with this news coming in now and Sasha Lee Forbes, the name submitted as her replacement, it leaves a lot of questions unanswered. Now, going to the interview with Stephen Francis, he mentioned that this, and he went back to the situation with Kemba Nelson, where he said they should be ensuring that the names are on there. They shouldn't be leaving things to secretaries and all that sort of thing. He made comparisons to how you deal with it for the Grace Kennedy champs, where you ensure that the names are there. You don't leave it to someone else. And he basically insinuated that that was the case with Kemba Nelson. He also made mention that it had happened to one of his athletes in the past in the form of Nesta Carter, whose name was omitted, even though he had run 9.8 that said year. So I think there's a lot brewing behind the scenes. When he was quizzed on if Sherica Jackson would be fit enough to compete in the 100 meters on Friday, he indicated that Sherica Jackson is fit to compete now, which basically is saying she's not injured, she's fit, and she's ready to compete. So on the flip side, Ludlow Watts indicated that he just made the announcement based on what Maurice Wilson told him. They had a training session, and then Sherica Jackson, based on what, and all this information that I'm saying now is based on the interview that Ludlow Watts did. He said that they had a training session, and Sherica Jackson spoke to Maurice Wilson, and that information was communicated to him that she'd only be competing that she will not be competing in the 100 meters. Now, Ludlow Watts was asked if Sherica pulled out of the 100 meters to focus on the 200 meters. He said he didn't know anything about the 200 meters as of now, and he could only speak about the 100 meters. So, again, there's a lot of mind games happening right now between Coach Stephen Francis and the J3A and the Jamaica Olympic Association. We've seen that the relationship is not at its best, and we've seen that Stephen Francis, he's very vocal on how he believes Jamaica's track and field should be handled, and he's very vocal when it comes to pointing out the gaps and the opportunities to improve in the organization. So I think all of this to say, Sherica Jackson, quite frankly, is not injured, at least based on the information that we received. She's not injured. However, if we're to assess it from two angles, could it be a case where she doesn't want to risk it for the 100 meters and end up losing out both the 100 meters and the 200 meters? Because we saw she was running the other day. She came out, they said it was a cramp. We aren't sure. We aren't sure. We just have to work with what they say, right? They said it was a cramp. Maybe it's a cramp. It could very well be a case where she doesn't want to exhaust too much energy in the 100 meters and then maybe play second or third, and then as a result, going into the 200 meters, which is her pet event right now, she still doesn't have enough energy to say break a record or to get on top of the podium. And then as Jamaicans say, you want all, you lose all. So in an attempt to secure medals or to secure gold in the 100 and 200 meters, she ends up losing out in both events. It could also be a case where Stephen Francis, having seen how the J3 and the Jamaica Olympic Association is going about their business, indicated that, hey, we're not going to compete in the 100 meters and let's focus on the 200 meters because they had more than enough bodies in the 100 meters and they sabotaged Kemba Nelson. So it could very well be a situation of that. So I don't know if the relationship between her coach and the Jamaica Olympic Association has basically manifested down in what's happening now. But based on the interview that Stephen Francis gave, it is definitely leaning in that direction. I think it's more than meets the eye. Everyone is very coy. No one wants to say anything. And I think this is beyond them just not wanting to say things because they don't want the opponents to be aware. I think it's internal fighting going on. And I know we've been saying this over the months and the years about the Jamaica Football Federation and how bad they are. I think the Jamaica Amateur Athletic Association, the J3, they're proven to be along those lines as well. And I think we have exceptional athletes from their respective camps who usually come out very good. They usually do well on the international scene, and that generally clouds everything that's happening. It kind of puts paper over the cracks of the organization. So because Jamaica is securing all these gold medals at the youth and the senior level, then less focus is placed on those in positions of authority. But Sherica Jackson will not be competing in the 100 meters. Again, let me reiterate. So Jamaica's representatives in the 100 meters come Friday will not include Sherica Jackson. Her replacement will be Sasha Lee Forbes. Stephen Francis, he spoke candidly about this situation. He indicated that Sherica Jackson is fit to compete today, if required. She did not train yesterday, but she's fit to compete today if required. Will she be fit to compete tomorrow? He said he's not a prophet. He doesn't know what the situation will be tomorrow. However, what he can say is in the know. And as of now, Sherica Jackson is fit to compete in the 100 meters. He also mentioned in an interview a little bit earlier, I think yesterday, that he's not sure what they're going to do for the 4x100 meters. And Ludlow Watt was quizzed on that as well. And he said by the end of the day today, leading into early tomorrow, they will have more information. But they're currently trying to get some athletes in place to compete for the 200 meters. Stephen Francis, again, going back to Stephen Francis, and I know you might be saying, hey, at halftime, you're all over the place. I'm all over the place because I'm making, basically drawing information from both sides. Okay, so Stephen Francis mentioned that if he were Kemba Nelson, he'd stay in Spain. So quite frankly, saying Kemba Nelson shouldn't beat up herself to come to Paris to compete. And Kemba Nelson has already updated her Twitter bio to almost Olympian. So I think overall, this entire situation, again, shedding a bad light on the organizers for the Jamaican team. Ludlow Watts to Maurice Wilson. This is the second time we're seeing something of this in very, very short order. And I expect more news to come as the day progresses because the developments continue to come. And last night I received the news that Sherica, well, it didn't say Sherica Jackson, but it said Sasha Lee Forbes would be replacing one of the female athletes in the 100 meters. And all speculations were that it was Sherica Jackson. So this information was from last night. However, it was confirmed this morning. As a result, we're just now doing the video. But I'm waiting to see how this plays out. It's sad that Sherica Jackson will not be competing in the 100 meters because I think she was our best hope, really, of beating Sha'Carri Richardson over 100 meters. And as of now as well, I think our medal expectations need to be revisited. Kishane Thompson, obviously, under the same tutelage of Stephen Francis. We will see what his situation is. It may very well be a case where Stephen Francis is boycotting his athletes. He and his athletes are boycotting the Jamaican team. Or it could be a case where the organizers, the Maurice Wilsons and the Ludlow Watts of this world, they're basically sabotaging Stephen Francis because of his openness in the media and his refusal to basically his refusal to basically keep quiet on some things. But let's hear what your thoughts are on this Halftime TV, viewers and subscribers. Let's hear it down in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on all these developments happening with Team Jamaica over there in Paris? Let's hear it in the comment section. Remember, like, share, subscribe. If you haven't yet done so, as you turn the notification on, that means each time Halftime TV goes live, you get a notification. All right, peace out.